Thanks very much indeed, Tara. Good evening, members. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Council on Thursday, the 7th of August, 2025. My name is Councillor Kevin Lagan, and I'm the Chairman of the Council. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table, as it could create interference with the cameras and the live stream. And please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of your microphones. Therefore, can you make sure that you turn them on when you speak and turn them off when you've finished, please? We do not have any fire alarm testings for tonight, but if there is an alarm, could we exit from either of the two fire exit points and muster in the green area in front of the police station entrance? Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Clerk, may I have the apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies were received from Councillor Bound, Councillor Jennings, Councillor Laidlaw, Councillor Platt and Councillor White. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Members, I move to agenda item 3, which is the minutes of the 10th of July, and it is recommended that the minutes of the Council held on 10th of July 2025, which are found on pages 5 to 20, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Councillor Paula Spenceley. Members, any points of accuracy, please? Councillor Fluker.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just one on agenda item 15, 16. I'm not quite sure why that's been split into two items, but anyway, a question was raised as to why this was an urgent item rather than an ordinary item, because Council already resolved to agree that this would be on the agenda of all meetings, and I think you took those comments on board, but they're not in the minutes, and I think it'd be good to note that. And although I accept they're not on the agenda tonight, but I'll forgive Mr Wilkinson because it is his extraordinary meeting, and it is August. And the other thing, Chairman, is I just thought it would be nice from a protocol and civic point of view to perhaps record the comments of the High Sheriff. You'll remember that she came to the district for an official event and she sent her good wishes to this council. And I think you responded with some comments about why there wasn't anybody there from the civic platform. And I think that was totally acceptable what you said. But I just thought it'd be nice to do that, bearing in mind she's invited me to another bash at the end of the year.
That's she's actually come. Thank you, Councillor Fluke. Those points articulated well and noted. I'll actually extend that to the High Sheriff when I meet her in September. Thank you. Yes, yeah, I've met her before and corresponded, so thank you very much indeed. So members, with those comments, are we okay to agree by assent, please? Agree. Thank you very much indeed. We move on to agenda item 4, which is the declaration of interest, and this is to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. And members, as usual, we're reminded that we should also disclose any such interest as soon as they become aware, should you need to, throughout the meeting. Members, any declarations, please? No declarations, Clerk, thank you. We move to agenda item 5, which is Council Structure Review Report, which is found on pages 21 to 26. And I call upon the Chief Executive, Mr Wilkinson, to please present the report. Mr Wilkinson.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and good evening, members. This report presents the outcome of a comprehensive organisational review undertaken by myself with the support of the Local Government Association. The review was done in response to concerns raised by members regarding the continued effectiveness of the Council's officer structure, particularly in the context of previous structural models. As Chief Executive, it is important for me to have the right structure and resources in the right place to achieve our ambitions effectively and support members appropriately, and thus enable delivery of our corporate plan objectives. Key aims of this were to address fundamental structural issues hampering functionality, reduce management layers, provide clarity of rules and greater empowerment, improve efficiency and effectiveness of the organisation, creating a structure to deliver on the corporate plan priorities at pace, better decision making and accountability, one team, one message leadership team, and prepare for local government reorganisation by 2028. Using the LGA's nationally recognised decision-making approach, the review is underpinned with industry-tested methodology. The review assessed the efficiency, structure and clarity of current management tiers and roles. The findings highlighted the need for a simplified, streamlined leadership structure that empowers decision-making, promotes cross-functional collaboration and positions the Council to deliver more effectively on its corporate priorities. Staff across all levels actively contributed to the review through the Have Your Say engagement programme, with over half the workforce providing feedback. The report outlines a proposed new structure that aims to remove legacy complexity, address siloed working practices and align with best practice governance standards. This structural reform is also designed to prepare Maldon District Council for potential local government reorganisation expected by 2028, ensuring the Council remains efficient, resilient and adaptable and fit for purpose for the future. I'll now hand over to Peter Newland, Senior Advisor at the LGA, to take members through a short presentation. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr Wilkinson.
Thank you very much for inviting me along this evening. A series of slides to take you through, and then at a later point I'll pass you on to Doug. Okay, thank you. Tara, do you want to go on to the next slide for me? And the next? Okay, so DMA, as it's known, it's a decision-making accountability, and it's a methodology which supports organisational design, as Doug has said. It's developed by a man called Brian Dive, and it's a licensed product that the LGA actually have adopted. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me,
I just wonder whether you can get a full screen.
Yeah, it might be easier.
Okay, and also it's blowing about a bit, isn't it? I don't know. I know it's warm.
Would it be, members, would it be better if we dim the lights up here a bit to make it a bit more clearer for you? It's just the font. Yeah. So let's just see if we can make it full screen for you.
Is that better?
Well, I would suggest that in that case that each of the bullet points are read out to the chamber in that case, if members can't see them.
Okay.
Councillor Morgan. Can we do that? Yeah. Yeah, can we do that now? It's been coming through the airwaves to everybody who has a PC with them tonight. We'll just wait a moment and make sure that you've received it. Sounds promising. Yeah. Yep.
Have it.
You can hear it, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. Members, has anybody not received it? Please. And does anybody need a laptop? Because I've got a spare one if necessary. No? Okay, are we okay to proceed? Yep, thank you, Councillor Bell. Peter, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take it from the top again for you. So DMA, the decision-making accountability, is a methodology which supports organisational design. It was developed by a man, Brian Dive, in Unilever, and it's a licensed product that the LGA use in organisations. It's been applied across private and public sector, amongst others Tesco. It's adopted as an organisational design tool by us, and we've worked with over 75 councils now to identify efficient and cost-effective organisational structures for the future. It's a robust, proven framework to help diagnose and design what is classified as healthy management hierarchies. DMA determines the number of organisational levels based on decision-making accountability, and the approach argues that only one layer of management is required for each DMA level. And according to DMA methodology, healthy organisations have between 4 to 6 levels of accountability, with 6 levels being applicable to large, multinational, multi-product organisations such as Unilever. And our research and experience has shown that unitary councils should have 5 levels of accountability, and district councils should have 4 levels. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we have a diagram that shows the areas that we look into when we undertake the DMA approach. It's the methodology which supports effective organisational design, as we said before, and it has been applied across many private and public sectors. We look at all of these 7 DMA elements: resource complexity, problem solving, external interaction, time frame, natural teamwork, change, and the nature of the work. So DMA analysis begins at the front line, whether internally or externally facing. These are the roles at the bottom of the hierarchy that do the core work for the organisation. And each management tier in the hierarchy should add clear value to the front line or to the layer of managers below it. And so the fundamental question is every management layer adding value for residents and for the work of others? Next slide, please. So confidential interviews were conducted by 2 independent DMA experts from the LGA during February and March. The DMA conversations took place across all 8 of the directorates in the council and focused particularly on the areas which were overlaid, siloed, or needing review. The LGA, I won't go through all of the areas that we looked at, but the LGA spoke with 37 individuals on a one-to-one basis to listen to employees. And an additional 12 people came forward and requested one-to-ones, which meant that we saw 49 people on a one-to-one basis. We would have asked all of the same questions to the same people. 8 drop-in sessions were also held, including teams and all staff drop-ins. And 3 LGA questions were included and discussed at the corporate plan priority parties, and the findings were taken into consideration in forming the recommendations. It was really pleasing to see that there was good engagement with approximately 120 people involved. Okay, next slide, please. So in terms of the context of the review, the DMA review was conducted at the request of the new Chief Executive, Doug, who joined in October 2024. And prior to this appointment, staff described the council as rudderless. The previous Ignite model, adopted by the council in 2019, significantly impacted staff. And although progress has been made in addressing structural issues through a restructure in the Service Delivery Directorate in December 23, the DMA review identified further changes needed to empower roles with greater autonomy and decision-making authority at all levels within the organisation. Employees engaged positively with the review. Their passion for the council and its residents was evident, as they described the council as a supportive, caring, committed and passionate community. However, the current structure of the council is hindering organisational performance and was likened to a jigsaw puzzle which didn't fit. And those are the words of employees, not us. While employees have a strong desire for change, they're constrained by a hierarchical culture, lack of confidence and insufficient transparency and fairness regarding roles, commenting on identity, job titles such as specialist and caseworker being meaningless or vague to others. The council's historical culture has led to individuals working on their own projects rather than collaborating as one council, which is particularly noticeable at the CLT plus level. The Chief Executive is steering the council in a new direction away from its fragmented, siloed approach. His engagement with staff and councillors are seen as a huge positive, and there are emerging signs of improvement and green shoots. So what did we find? So Maldon Council should be a level 4 organisation in line with other district councils of comparable size. Our review identified, when we looked at the structure charts, there were 8 layers or tiers of hierarchy in some areas of the organisation. And this reflects the too many layers in the cake feedback from the Have Your Say conversations. This means that frontline staff are too removed from the Chief Exec, with up to 6 layers between them and the Chief Exec. Of the roles seen, spans of control vary between 1 and 8, with an average of 2.4, which isn't efficient in terms of capacity, and only goes to create a siloed structure and culture. The DMA methodology suggests spans should be of around 5 to 6 to create capacity and efficiencies. Priorities are decided in silos and processes are difficult, with everyone spinning 11 plates. And hybrid working is adding more complexity to ways of working. The council was described as disconnected and disjointed by staff. Too many ADs are remote from elected members, and good staff are held back by the structure due to the invisible ceiling between heads of service and ADs, and systems disjointed partly due to the caseworker model. Managers and heads of service are disempowered by the lack of budgetary authority and accountability. So, for example, an AD permission is needed for £50 approval spends, and the hierarchical nature of the organisation. The DMA review found a lack of cohesive working at leadership team level, which results in different agendas and frustrations, and addresses this by proposing an alternative top organisational structure which demonstrates the recommended strategic / operational focus of roles within the DMA levels. I'm going to hand you over to Doug now to continue.
Thank you, Peter. I just wanted to finish this last slide off in case the members couldn't see what was on the screen, but helpfully you've now got the slides in front of you around some of the comments that came back from staff, which I think we all found interesting and I use that word very broadly. The fact that, you know, there's some really good comments coming back, like I'm proud to work for the council, I love what I do, everyone is supportive, my colleagues are amazing, a family and endearing place to work. And then there's other comments that we're too top heavy with not enough soldiers, working with two hands tied behind our back, the council feels clunky, teams are under pressure, we are working blind, hybrid working adds to the complexity. It's quite hierarchical here. So finishing on this section was just really about, that's the feedback that the staff were giving us, the LGA and myself on this, that there's a need and a desire to change the organisation. So I think, Chairman, I will pause at that point and hand back to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Chief Executive. Members, at this point, I'd like to move a recommendation, and the recommendation is that members receive the engagement and findings of the Chief Executive and the Local Government Association decision-making approach, the DMA organisational review. Do I have a seconder for that? Members, thank you. Councillor Morgan. Thank you. But members, at this point, before we go into conversation, this report is to be received only. And would ask, obviously, because of the nature of the report and the subject, that any detailed questions can please be raised in private session. But any questions on the process or anything that Peter has delivered to us at this moment in time? Can I agree, Councillor Fluker?
A couple of things. On slide 7, am I right that bullet 4, the reference to hybrid working and adding more complexity to ways of working, is this a reference to the working from home policy that we've adopted? And if so, is this something that we'll be looking at? I've got another question as well. Thank you.
We'll take that one first. Thank you.
Yes, I believe that it is related to that. And perhaps it's around consistency of application of the policy.
Well, I can see that look from the Chief Executive, which, you know, means he's taken that on board. The other thing is we've done several of these sort of restructurings and what have you, and can I say with a certain degree of honesty, it's the first time that we've had a staff survey where members haven't been criticised. So I think that probably means that the members have been working very closely with the staff to deliver this, and overall they're relatively happy. As far as the LGA is concerned, I know a certain amount about DMA and the way that you can determine how well it's performed on the outcomes. So can you confirm what KPIs you would recommend to measure our success as we go through this process?
Thank you.
So there are no KPIs from our perspective because these are our recommendations to the council. We always envisage that the council, through looking at the recommendations, may make some savings, but they could be actually reinvested in frontline roles. But there are no KPIs from our perspective, these recommendations to the council, if I've understood your question correctly.
Allow me to come back. I think it's really important that we do have some kind of way to measure success in this, and I think the obvious way to do it would be through some kind of strategic KPIs around service delivery and how we're delivering generally. So perhaps that's something that the Chief Executive will take forward.
Thank you, Councillor Fluker. Members, do you want to come back to Chief Executive?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just to give some reassurance on, it might not be specifically KPIs, but certainly monitoring progress against the findings, things like using the recommendations as an action plan. But I think a measure of success will certainly be the staff survey that we do, because clearly in the staff survey there was levels of discontentment around the organisation, how it functions. That's part of the information that I'm using to take this forward. So I would like to think that that staff survey would improve when we do a staff survey annually. If I'm getting feedback saying that they're frustrated with systems or decision making, that might play out in an improved feedback in future surveys.
Thank you. Councillor Stamp, please.
I'd just like to say this council's had many staff surveys over the years, but I would like to say in open session that I want to quote Brenda from Bristol many years ago in 2017 when she said, "You're joking, not another one." My initial response to this is yet another transformation. Over the years since 2018, goodness knows how many goes everybody's had at this. And I think it's important because I think residents, especially if any of the confidential stuff comes out, and I have to be very careful saying this because people will be looking at the cost of this council regarding going forward and the position we're going to be in 2028 or 2027. So I just want that on record. I, for one, are very concerned, and I have to be careful what I say because I'm going to get into trouble. Monitoring officer's not giving me dirty looks yet, so I'm on the right level at the moment. But I do think it is important. But yet again, we are going through another transformation. How this time are we responding to what the staff have said when previously we didn't? So I just want to put some perspective in here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So members remember the recommendations to receive
Chairman,
the
sorry,
engagement.
just a very brief point of order.
But there's no, what point of order are you claiming, Councillor Fluker, please?
Well, Chairman,
specifically in the constitution or the agenda?
So, Chairman, I refer you to the procedure rules of Eric Whitfield, a previous monitoring officer in relation to confidential reports. I'm sorry I don't have the specific, but it will be under section 2. And my point really is, Chairman, through you to the monitoring officer.
Specific points?
Yes, absolutely. Chairman, ordinarily, when a recommendation contains no confidential information, it should be in the first report and not the second report that speaks to confidential matters. That seems to be what all other councils do. Perhaps the monitoring officer can explain why it doesn't apply. But I've read the recommendations closely and I cannot see any reason. So the recommendation, Chairman, will be dealt with in public session. So,
Well, this this is a specific agenda item, which is a receive and engagement report of the process.
But
that is what we're actually
Chairman,
talking about at the moment.
the guidelines say that there's an open document and a closed document. The closed document contains only the confidential information, which we should discuss later, and then you would refer back to the first report or agenda item, which deals with the recommendations, and that seems to be what every other council does. I mean,
Well,
Chairman,
we're not every
it's
other
your-
council. I'm satisfied with the monitoring officers has gone through, set the agenda, and has given assurances that the structure of this agenda is sound. So we will move on, and we will ask members to show.
Ultraviolet.
I doubt that, Councillor Fluker. Very
Chairman,
much.
in my mind, Chairman, if you read those guidelines and you see what other councils do, it's
Well,
ultra-virus.
I'll read the guidelines. If you could be specific with the Constitution and give me the exact point, the exact phrase and the exact paragraph which the Constitution calls for when you call a point of order, and you haven't, so I'm going to move on. Members, could you please be kind enough to take this by assent? Is there any, can you raise your hands for assent? Agreed. Any members wish to have their recorded dissent on this? Councillors, would you like to be recorded? Yes, Councillor Stamp, Councillor Fluker and Councillor Siddle Norman. Thank you. So that is passed, members. Thank you very much indeed. So we now move on to agenda item 6, which is any other items of business that the chairperson decides are urgent. There are none. We move to 7, which is exclusion of the public press, and that I resolve that under section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 1, 2 and 3, part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, and that this satisfies the public interest test. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Siddle, thank you. Members, can we take that by assent? Agreed. Thank you, members. So we'll just wait until it's confirmed